This is the plaintiff, Linnea Scott. She says she purchased an adorable puppy named Cody from the defendant, and it turns out he has a disease in his eyes which may require surgery. She had to go ahead and get Cody the surgery. He has to have another operation in 6 months. The defendant sold her a sick dog, and now she's owed $1,593.96 for all the vet bills she has to pay. This is the defendant, Marquette. He says the plaintiff insisted on taking the puppy home before he was 8 weeks old, and he told her if she did that, she would be responsible for it. When she took the puppy home, he was perfectly healthy. He doesn't know what she did to Cody in the time she had him, and he doesn't think he's responsible for paying the plaintiff's vet bills. He's accused of pooping out on a pup.
All parties, please raise your right hands. Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says that she purchased a puppy from the defendant, but the dog was sick, needed surgery, and the defendant won't pay. Now, the defendant says that he doesn't know what she did with the dog when she had him and isn't paying her anything. It's the case of pooping out on a pup.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Scott, talk to me. What happened? How do you two know each other to begin with?
We grew up together in the same neighborhood down North Philly.
So he had puppies for sale and you wanted one of the puppies. What kind of puppies were these?
They're standard poodles.
Okay. So what did you pay for the poodle?
$1,200 to get all together. When he advertised the poodle on April the 11th, I contacted him and it was a $300 deposit down to hold the poodle.
All right. Now, apparently there was a problem with the poodle. What was the problem?
Upon receiving the poodle, he was asleep on May the 20th. At 6 weeks old, the next day, he was asleep the whole night when he delivered the poodle. I gave him his $900 cash. The next day when Cody had woke up, his eyes were red. They were irritated. They had crusts around them. I called around a few vets. A PetSmart, they said we can't provide no eye washes for the poodle. He's a baby. He don't have his shots. We urge you to take him to a veterinarian hospital. I took Cody in emergency. They said maybe it's an ear allergy. They gave me a medicine for Cody.
Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. As it turns out, what the vet said is that the dog needed surgery because it had an eyelid that was, and I believe the word is entropion, when it's a condition where the eyelid is drooping and the eyelash is hitting the eyeball, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so did you bring that to Mr. Marquette's attention?
Yes. I
And
called
what did he say?
Mr. Marquette.
8 days later.
I called Mr. Marquette, let Mr. Marquette know.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Mr. Marquette. You keep saying it's 8 days later. When did you expect her to tell you the problem?
She initially said that his eye was red the next day. Or she said the eye of the puppy, his eye was red the same day. And then on the paperwork, it says the puppy eye was red the day that I dropped the puppy off. If the eye was red the day I dropped the puppy off, why didn't Ms. Scott contact me to say, hey, Marquette, the puppy eye is red. Can you come check the puppy out?
Did the puppy have surgery, Ms. Scott?
Yes, June the 4th, he had surgery.
Okay. And you are suing here for a future surgery as well?
Yes, ma'am.
I read the vet reports, and the vet doesn't appear to think there's going to be a need for a future surgery. Why are you suing for $881 for a future surgery when the vet said that there didn't appear to be a need at this time?
She said that she will watch him. She said he's doing well right now.
Right, and the words, I'm not making this up, the exact words are that there is no need for a future surgery at this point. So how are you going to prove that you're entitled to $881 for a surgery your vet says there's no reason to believe we're going to need? I mean, you may end up needing it or you may pocket $881. That's not how the law works.
No, she said one eye fell out, Your Honor, and she said the right eye she would keep an eye on.
So when I'm looking at the vet's reports, you're only entitled to come to court and sue for real damages, not speculative damages. You can't sue for, hey, she's watching the eye and something might happen later. That's not how this works. Also, how did you even come up with the figure 881?
Because in the beginning, there was going to be a future surgery. The stitches that she put in.
Yeah, but how did you come up with that
to
figure?
Help him.
This was
Right,
the
and she says
estimate
that works.
she gave me.
Okay,
Yes.
I got it. Now, let me ask you a question. Why didn't you call him sooner or reach out to him sooner?
The medicine that she gave me was to watch him for 5 days. When we didn't think that this was a problem long term.
Right, you just thought it was a little infection or something and it wasn't worth calling. Now, Mr. Marquette, what difference does it make that she waited 8 days? What is your impression of what the law says and how much time she has to bring something up?
My thing is because we know each other from childhood, from about 13 to 18 or 19, we know each other. So if something happened to that dog in the time frame that she did receive the dog at 6 weeks, when I told her, hey, they still puppies, they 6 weeks, but they're running up my steps. I said they're ready to go. If you want the dog, you can get the dog at 6 weeks. You have to bring the dog back at 8 weeks so I could take it with the litter of puppies to get his shots. So even with the text message, I sent her a small contract saying, hey, you are reliable for the puppies. If anything happened to the dog,
responsible.
If anything happened to, I'm sorry.
Responsible for the puppies.
Yes, you're responsible for the pet if anything happened to it. But that wasn't saying if the dog I was read the same day I dropped him off. She could have called me to say, hey, Marquette, the dog I is red. And the second day, if it was worse or if it got redder, I would have first called the person I got the dog from to see what the problem was.
But I probably would have too. But what you or I would do is different from what the law requires. In your state of Pennsylvania, she has 10 days to bring up a problem to you. And she brings it up on day 8, okay? And she tells you, I thought I could handle it. I thought it was an infection, but it turns out that the dog is going to need surgery. You've seen the vet reports. You know that they had to do a few stitches on the eyelid, right?
Well, it took her a while to get me over the information. I kept asking for the information.
But you've seen it. You have seen it.
Did I see the report? No, all I saw was a vet bill. I didn't see a report.
Okay.
I saw the vet bill.
All right. Well, the animal did have entropion. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have included in here shots that he had said he'd get taken care of. Why didn't you just bring the dog back to him to take care of the shots like you guys had agreed?
I kept calling Ron.
She told me she wasn't bringing him back.
Mr. Marquette, hold on. Go ahead.
I kept calling Mr. Marquette. I've contacted him a few days before the 30th and said, hi, will we meet? He said, yeah, tomorrow. I said, hey, are you going to come and get the dog? He kept saying tomorrow. I provided exhibits to you. He kept saying tomorrow.
Okay, hold on one second.
Hello?
When were you supposed to, hold on. When were you supposed to get the dog to him in order to get the shots done?
On the 30th.
She was supposed
Okay,
to drop him
so
off
I'm going to look. I'm looking at the text. He tells you, that's fine, Naya. You should have called me right away before taking him to the vet. Or if you saw his eyes swollen, I didn't see that. And you said, I panicked. I just called the vet right away. Sunday, May 31st, he says.
This is after the fact.
So I don't see what you say, Ms. Scott, where he just blows off picking up the dog. What I see instead is on May 31st, he texts you and says, hey, I'm going to pick him up. And you say, you would have to call me. I've already been getting him care. His case is severe. He's scheduled for eye surgery next week. So there's no him refusing to take the dog for the regular shots. There's you deciding that you're just going to handle it, right? So I don't think you're entitled to.
I didn't provide that exhibit.
Oh, well, it exists, though. He provided it. It's the text where you say, these are your texts. You would have to call me. I'm already getting him care. His case is severe. He's scheduled for eye surgery. So it's not him who bails on taking the dog in for the shots. Now, let's discuss what your damages are, because you need to understand there's law that covers this, all right? Every state has laws that govern the sale of dogs and the protections that you have. And Pennsylvania is no exception. Its law is pretty much the same as most places. Now, the one thing is it covers any seller of a dog, whether it's a dealer or not. I don't know whether you're a dealer or a seller or just a seller, but since it covers anybody who sells a dog ever, we don't even have to go into that. Normally, I have to determine whether someone's, a casual breeder or an actual dealer and sells X number of dogs a year. That's not how it works in Pennsylvania. Frankly, that's not how it should work anywhere. And then it gives you 3 choices. And this is almost the same in every state. Choice number 1, return and get a refund. Choice number 2, return and get a replacement. And choice number 3, keep the dog, because people end up wanting to keep the dog. They've bonded with the dog and they don't want to give the dog away, and get damages up to, we cap that. See, you can't, if it's a $1,000 dog, you can't spend $20,000 saving it. So it's capped. You can keep the dog, and then the bills that you can sue for are capped at the purchase price of the dog. Okay? So even if you could prove, $1,593 worth of damages, which you can't because 881 of it are speculative, you would still be capped at the $1,200. You send her a text when she picks up the dog, which, by the way, I don't know why. Oh, they're running up the steps so she can take the dog. You should still keep the darn dog for the 8 weeks. Okay, but you go ahead and you give her the dog, and then you put in a text, by the way, anything happens, you're responsible. But you need to understand that the law doesn't let you nullify the protections of dog purchasers. In other words, your text saying that doesn't alter what her rights are.
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff is suing for eye surgery for her puppy that she says was sick when she bought it from the defendant. Let's go back into the courtroom.
I am with you that I would have expected her, especially if you're friends, for her to call you and tell you what was going on, because maybe you had a recommendation of a vet or whatever, and maybe you could have kept the costs more controlled. But when we get right down to it, the cost ended up being only $712.96, of which a portion of that are the regular shots, which I don't deem that you should have to pay. So here is where we are. There's no question that this is a condition that the dog was born with. It's a congenital thing to have that, and that it devalues the dog. Were you planning on breeding the dog, ma'am? Or no, this was a pet?
Either or.
Yeah, because there are problems with...
Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah. Well, there's kind of problems with, being able to breed a dog that has this condition because they pass it on.
Exactly.
Right. So I would have never sold her a runt dog. That's number one. She got one of the first dogs that she picked from seeing the pictures. I didn't just give her the dog and saying, "Hey, here goes your dog." So for me, I love my dogs. I have 3 standard poodles of my own that I take care of, and they're well groomed. They're the best looking dogs in my neighborhood. I get compliments every day.
Okay, no, nobody thinks that you're some kind of racketeer or anything. I get it.
No.
But at the end of the day, you're still responsible. So here's what's going to happen. I've gone through the bills. I have pulled out the following. A speculative future surgery that the doctor right now says is unnecessary. Now, that doesn't mean that if the dog requires a surgery, you can't come back to court, just not in this case. I'm not ordering him to pay it to you. I'm also removing the shots because the shots are not something that I think you should have to pay. The shots are $83 and $125.
Yes.
I'm removing those, and that leaves the rest of the bill, which I do find that you are responsible for, Mr. Marquette, in the amount of $504. Verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck, folks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, after suing for almost $1,600, the plaintiff is only going to recover just over $500, $504. Let's talk to Mr. Marquette. Number one, Mr. Marquette, you're the defendant in this case. Are you sorry you gave her the dog at 6 weeks?
Yes, I would never make that. I would never do that again. I will keep my dogs my puppies until 8 weeks, so I won't have problems like this in the near future.
I think that's very important. One other thing, did any other of the other dogs in that litter have any eye problems like this one?
No, all of my puppies are fine. So it could have been something that was going on in her house. Oh, but I know all of my puppies, no one has problems out of the litters that I've breeded. This is the first time I ever heard of something wrong with a puppy of mine.
All right, well, very good. Well, I'm sorry that you had this problem to deal with. She should have brought the dog back to you. If she had in the beginning, you would have taken care of it, wouldn't you? Right in the beginning?
I would have took care of the puppy, and I would have used my own insurance to take care of the puppy, and I would have gave her I would have gave her a different puppy.
Very
or a
interesting you did.
refund.
All right, well, thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much. All right, Ms. Scott, let me ask you what you think about the outcome of the case. How do you feel about it? You heard what the defendant just said. If you'd have taken him back, he would have taken care of that pup. How do you feel about that?
He was full of crap since day one. I got Cody. I love him. He's in good hands now. He's doing well. He's famous in my neighborhood. I wish everybody the best of luck. Thank you, People's Court, for having me.
All right, well, you seem very happy. And the dog is doing good, right? Very happy.
Cody is thriving really well.
Okay. All right, that'll wrap it up for this dog case. Let's see what the judges feel now. Here's another session of After the Verdict.
It sounds like the big winner in this case is Cody.
Yep.
Because he's obviously beloved by the plaintiff, and she wouldn't let him go for anything.
No.
And it's interesting that the state law here in Pennsylvania, and a lot of states have similar laws, would give you, if you buy a dog from someone, that chance to, if you had to return the dog because it was sick or it had some serious defect like that, you get up to the purchase price and no more, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean, I've never had a case where anybody said, I just want to return the dog.
Right.
They always want to keep the dog.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Well, our dogs, they love us unconditionally. They're completely loyal. They're the greatest companions.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the human-canine bond. It's just, it's intense. And these people will pay any price and
Right.
do anything to make their dog feel better, to make their,
Right,
to
right.
alleviate their dog's suffering. We've seen it. You've seen
I
it
was a
in
little
many
surprised that she didn't contact him, particularly since they knew each other for so many years.
Right.
But she just, I don't know, she went her own way on it. But I'm glad the dog is fine. And I, it was a little bit slick of him to send that text saying, anything happens, you're responsible, because you can't really amend the law and people's rights that way.
Okay, Jessica wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, if I set up a fundraiser and somebody makes a slanderous comment about me, which is unfounded, causing very few people to donate, can I sue for slander or punitive damages? Well, punitive damages is not a theory. That's just an element of damages. So let me tell you how this works. If you are not a public person, Jessica, and somebody makes a false statement about you that causes you scorn or ridicule, and you lose money as a result, yes, you can sue for defamation. That would be slander in this case, a spoken word. If it's written, it's libel. Now, it depends on what they said, and it's got to subject you to scorn and ridicule. It can't just be a janky comment. It's got to be something really serious. But yes, if they did, you can sue. We'll see you next time.